So with the Miami Heat beating the Atlanta Hawks in 5 games and the 76ers beating the Raptors in 6 games, that means in this year's Eastern Conference semifinals, we'll see the number 1 seed Miami Heat versus the number 4 seeds Philadelphia 76ers. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting on who I think will win. I'm going to start the video off discussing the Miami Heat, then I'm going to discuss the 76ers, then at the end of the video, I'm going to come to a conclusion on who I think will win. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal over 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video. I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. To talk about the Miami Heat first, the key for them in a series like this has to be their defense. They're going against the 76ers, who have 2 of the best scorers in the league, and James Harden and Joel Embiid, 2 guys who should be top 10 players in the league. The Heat are definitely one of the best defenses in the league. And when you think about it, they're actually one of the best teams when it comes to guarding the Philadelphia 76ers, like with the matchups and stuff like that. So obviously, I think they'll have some type of success. When it comes to guarding Joel Embiid, we already know he's been dealing with that injury in his hand, and now he's probably going to be wearing a face mask in this series because he had an orbital fracture. But regardless, they have a way better primary defender to put on Embiid than the Raptors did, as Bam Adebayo is one of the best centers in the league when it comes to defense. Probably might as an argument to be the best defender in the league, maybe the most impactful defender in the league. He's a pretty strong guy who can somewhat hold his own in the post and not just get absolutely demolished. And on the perimeter, I don't think any other center can guard Joel Embiid better than Bam can. Then on top of that, Miami has a lot of big defenders to throw double teams at Embiid, like Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, Duncan Robinson is kind of tall, Tyler Hero, but overall, he is a really good primary defender to go on Joel Embiid, because we saw against the Raptors, they had Precious Achiuwa on Embiid, and although I think Precious will improve and be better, right now he cannot guard Embiid, but I think Bam Adebayo can do a really good job. When it comes to guarding James Harden, I think the Heat will have even more success when it comes to that. They have plenty of perimeter defenders to throw at him, like Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, Gabe Vincent, maybe even Victor Oladipo at times. Even Kyle Lowry could do a solid job on him. James Harden was crazy inefficient against the Raptors, terribly inconsistent. He only had like 2 good games. If the Heat could just have him playing inefficient, the 76ers will basically have no chance to win. We already know James Harden is a guy who never steps up really in the playoffs, so he might do some of the defending of himself, if you know what I mean. When it comes to defending guys like Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey, I think they have solid enough defenders to defend them, but we saw against the Raptors, Maxey was able to continue to get to the rim, and if you're Miami, you're just going to try and stop him from doing that. When it comes to the offensive side of the floor, Miami has some of the best depth in the league. They have so much guys who can go off on any given night. They're not relying on their best player or their 2 best players to play well. Whereas in Philadelphia, if James Harden or Joel Embiid don't play good, they don't even have a chance. Jimmy Butler can have a game and others can step up and wreak havoc, hitting threes and stuff like that. We all know Duncan Robinson can get hot. We all know Jimmy Butler's capable of being dominant. He averaged 30 points in the first round on crazy efficiency. We all know PJ Tucker can occasionally hit 4 threes in a game. We all know Max Strus can randomly give you 16 points. Not even random, he basically averages that. Duncan Robinson, we already know Gabe Vincent has had big games in the past. Tyler Hero can go off. Kyle Lowry's a veteran. He can go off for 20 points. And even Victor Oladipo in Game 5 was the biggest reason they won that game, even without Kyle Lowry or Jimmy Butler. So much guys on this team can contribute on any given night, and it's really unlikely that in a game, everyone on this team just plays bad. They're always going to have someone stepping up every night. Also, in a series like this, Miami will by far, and I mean by far, be the better coach team. Erik Spoelstra is a top 3 to 5 coach in the league, arguably even the best coach in the league, if we're being honest. Whereas Doc Rivers is a below average coach in my opinion. In the playoffs, Erik Spoelstra is going to throw a bunch of crazy schemes and game plans at the 76ers, and in my opinion, I don't think Doc Rivers is good enough to adjust to them properly, so that leaves a huge advantage to Miami. But the real concern with Miami is the fact that Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry both suffered injuries that made them miss games in the playoffs. Kyle Lowry's hamstrings messed up, Jimmy Butler's knee is messed up. Looks like Jimmy Butler will be able to return for his start of the series. With Kyle Lowry, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more later on. But regardless, I think as long as they have Jimmy Butler for the whole series and Kyle Lowry for at least most of it, they should be fine and still have a really good chance to win. To discuss the keys for the Philadelphia 76ers, for me, I think it's Joel Embiid's dominance in the first round versus the Raptors. Embiid was definitely not bad to any point of imagination, but he was somewhat contained. He averaged 26 points, 11 rebounds, shooting 52% from the field. And I think that should be considered a W for the Raptors, since they stopped Joel Embiid from going off on them. And you saw how the Raptors were forced to force Game 6, even with their injuries and with them being the less talented team. Against Miami, Joel Embiid is probably going to face a better defense while being injured. In my opinion, if the 76ers really want to win the series, he's going to have to average somewhere around 30-35 points per game and just by far be the best player in the series. That's going to be hard to do. As I said, Miami's really good on defense and he's playing with injuries. And I think Embiid's dominance is clearly what's most important for this series, because if he's the best player on the court in the series, it will force Miami to throw more double teams at him and allow guys like Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and James Harden to take advantage of it. The 76ers also need James Harden to play better. It wasn't amazing in the first round, averaged 19 points, did average 10 assists, but on 40% from the field. That's not good enough if the 76ers want to beat this Miami Heat team. They need James Harden to somewhat go back to his Houston days, be a guy who can score 25 points or more on really good efficiency. He simply hasn't been doing that at all in his time in Philadelphia. If he's going to continue to average 20 or less points, 76ers won't even have a chance to win the series. They need him and Joel Embiid to play dominant, show that they're the two best players in the series. If I'm being honest, I could very well see Jimmy Butler outplaying James Harden, but in my opinion, I think the 76ers have the two best players in the series. You could argue Jimmy Butler has been better than James Harden this season, and I'd probably agree, but I think I still give James Harden the edge just because of he's James Harden. But regardless, the clear advantage the 76ers have in the series is their star power. If they want to win the series, their star power is going to have to show up. They both can't just play average. They have to play above how they usually play because they are capable of it. 76ers also need guys like Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris to step up. They were the X factors in the first round for them, as both those guys really stepped up. If those guys hadn't stepped up, the Raptors might have not won the series. The Raptors might have won the series if Maxey and Tobias could give the 76ers the production they did in the first round, which is when Maxey averaged 21 points, shooting over 50% from the field and 40% from three, and Harris averaged 19 points and 9 rebounds on really good efficiency. The 76ers could really have a good chance. But outside of those four guys, I don't have faith in any of the other 76ers. Matisse Thybulle will at least be back and he'll be able to play some good defense on Jimmy Butler or Tyler Hero. But outside of that, I don't really have that much faith in their other guys. But on defense, Matisse Thybulle's coming back. He will be able to play all the games. And obviously they have Embiid to try and lock down the paint. And then they have a bunch of other solid defenders. I don't think Philadelphia's defense is that amazing, but I think they should do a solid job on Miami. But the biggest concern for them is how good will Joel Embiid be with his injury. We all know he injured his face, probably going to have to wear that mask, and obviously they're going to need him to play amazing if they want to win the series. That's definitely a question. But to draw my prediction on the series, who I think will win and in how much games, I think I have to go with the Miami Heat in 6 games. I just don't think Doc Rivers is that good of a coach. I'm not ready to put any type of faith in him, and I think the Miami Heat's coaching advantage will really show. Also, I think Embiid's injury is serious enough to the point where I don't think he's going to play well above what the 76ers actually need him to do. Also, Miami's going to be defending him well. Even if he was fully healthy, I would expect to see some bad games out of him. Embiid. I don't believe in James Harden in the playoffs at all. He wasn't good against the Raptors besides 2 games. And when you're facing Miami, they're going to play really good defense on him. And I just think the 76ers are going to need him to step up. And I don't think that's going to happen. Guys like Tyrese and Tobias Harris might fall down a bit back to earth. Not saying they're going to play terrible, but they might not play as amazing as they did in the first round. And just overall, Miami is the better team, even though Philadelphia might have more star power. Miami in 6 is my final answer, but I do think it will be a somewhat close series with a lot of entertaining games. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Heat are winning the series. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go over 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video. I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro.